morning, everybody. Mark, aka the Ministry Dude, coming to you live from Livingston, Tennessee on this 28th day of February, last day of the month. Before I get started, I want to give a big shout out to Cookeville Regional Hospital, their cardiac care. They put 2 stents in my heart. I feel a lot better. But most importantly, I want to give a shout out to Livingston Regional Hospital. If it was not for Livingston Regional Hospital, I would not be here today. Because they prepped me and everything, and they got me, back to, my heart moving and everything, so they shipped me down to Cookeville Hospital and get me fixed up, because they didn't have a cardiac wing there to work on me. But they got me going, and they saved my life, and I want to thank them for it. I'm forever grateful, me and my family both. So thank you. And we want to thank God, too, for, just showing us the way. Thanks, everyone. I can't stress this enough. Go to the doctors. Have your cholesterol checked. Have your heart checked. I thought I was invincible and I'd live forever. And, my arteries were clogged. One of them was clogged almost 100%, and the other one was 75. And the one that was 100% was the widowmaker, they call it. They said I'm lucky. If it hadn't been for Livingston Regional Hospital, give me, I think, what did they give me, nitroglycerin or something? They gave me something, they handed me a whole mouthful of pills anyways. They just shoved them down my mouth and made me chew them up. I can remember I was in and out of it a little bit. I know that. My wife said she went over there to take my socks off and stuff, and they just whipped my clothes off and everything and got me all set up. She says, never seen anything so fast in our life. I mean, I'm really grateful to them. Well, let's start off with the last day of February here, reading through the Bible, shall we? Exodus 39:43. Moses examines the work. Of this major project just completed by the Israelites, a few things should be noticed. First, it was a major project completed under Moses' leadership in a wilderness setting. We do not have indication of other projects undertaken by Moses before this time, which attests to his great organizational skills and his motivational leadership. Second, the project was not his own, but God's. About a year earlier, Moses had been very reluctant to even go to Egypt to secure the release of God's people. It is not at all likely that he could conjure up this project in his own mind immediately following the climatic and emotionally draining events surrounding the exodus out of Egypt. This surely was God's project. And third, for Moses to grasp and implement such a project attests to his marvelous training. First, in the courts of the Pharaoh as a young man, then in the wilderness period along with God from age 40 to 80. God had him ready for such a task at this. We're going to do a little bit of background for the book of Numbers. According to this, the date of writing is probably in 2 time spans, 1446 and 45 BC and 1407 BC. The material in the book of Numbers is part of historical and part law. Historical events occurred during these 2 time periods, about half of the book devoted to the 1446-45 BC period, and the other half to the 1407 BC time period. The author believes Moses recorded the events during those times. The author, Moses. Several of the reasons for assigning numbers to Moses are the same as the reasons given for Genesis, Exodus, and Leviticus. When Israel left Sinai, they began a series of failings which lasted for about 8 months, culminating in their refusal to enter Canaan and in the chaos coming from that event. God had not revealed to Moses that Israel would experience such massive failures of faith, and Moses must have been surprised. Here's some historical considerations. The book of Numbers brings us face to face with a people who are learning about God in the classroom and on field trips. Much of the ceremonial law, which regulated Israel's worship activity, and portions of the civil law, which which governed daily life, had already been given. Numbers contains a small amount of legal material by comparison to Exodus and Leviticus. Most of the book is about the practice of faith and how it should apply to our lives. Okay, here's something from Numbers 10:10. Instructions concerning the trumpets. We remember from our earlier readings that the phrase, I am the Lord your God, has special significance. It indicates that the instructions being given are based upon the Lord's character. The different soundings of the trumpets in the passage signify different instructions to the people. One particular sounding instructed the moving of the camp in the wilderness on their march towards Canaan. Another type of sounding was to be used as a battle cry for war when once in the land. And a third type of sounding referenced the worship of God. The part of God's character illustrated in these instructions is in the author's opinion. All this suggests order. It also suggests order in our spiritual growth, moving towards Canaan. In our spiritual battles, going to war, in our spiritual refreshment, worship. Okay, let us conclude with Mark 6:30. The apostles joyfully return. Here we find ourselves in the month of April 29 AD, 1 year before the crucifixion would have occurred, and we have approximately 2/3 of the gospel yet to read. God devotes 1/3 of the gospels to the first 2 years of Jesus' ministry, and 2/3 to the last years of his ministry. This tells us that which transpires in the final year is very important. We would do well to learn its lessons thoroughly, and there are 3 good ones in this verse. First, just as in today's Old Testament readings, God has prepared these disciples for use and had gone out in service. Second, although Jesus had sent them out while he remained behind, he still had been with them. He is God. And third, they gave him a factual, through joy-filled report. And now we're going to conclude with a saying from Adrian P. Rogers. What God has done with what I can see leads me to trust him for what I cannot see. Well, thanks everyone for watching and listening this morning. And please get your heart checked. Don't let it go any farther. I don't care how old you are. You know, if you're 20, 40, 60, get it checked. Have a health checkup. Go to the doctors. Because this stuff can sneak up on you like, you know, and it can happen just like that. This is how it happened to me. You know, I mean, there was warning signs, I know. You know, I was like getting a little dizzy once in a while and fatigued and like that, but I never really thought nothing of it. I just thought it was my age. Well, it wasn't because of my age. Because my arteries were clogged from eating all the junk food that I eat. So now, we got to live a healthier lifestyle. Let's all join together and do that. Thanks for watching, and have a blessed day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.